It is.
Was thinking about something I seem to have a problem is desire without fear. I've become very successful, and my work with you over the last 4 years or so has been very, very helpful. But it seems I can't stay focused on the good things without this wave of feeling that it's all going to be taken away.
Well, here's the thing. Now, everything that you're saying there, and we appreciate your saying it, even though we just got finished telling you not to ever do that again. Because as you keep that vibration active within you by noticing that. And so it's the same question, how do I get rid of fear or doubt? Well, you get rid of it before it starts. So what you do is you start the next day appreciating where you are. You start the next day through slowly appreciating by focusing upon things that don't activate that contradictory vibration. And when you feel that contradictory vibration beginning to rise within you, don't put words to it, because it would peter out. His name is Peter, and he wants us to stop saying that. Does anyone have a better expression? It would dwindle away. It would fade. It would peter out is the very best word that we have. It would, as you stop adding momentum to something, eventually it stops being. And so it's the conversation like this that keep that vibration active, and that vibration is what you're feeling. So many people think that, well, they need to get to the root of the fear, and they need to solve it. And maybe you could talk yourself into realizing that those fears are irrational, but that's sort of a slippery slope, because when you begin talking about irrational fears, because you're focused upon the very thing that is causing the fear, then law of attraction brings you more evidence, more conversation, more mental images about the fact that it is not so irrational, because you remember that happening, and you remember that happening, and you remember that happening. So perhaps this will be helpful to you. Every subject is two subjects. It's like picking up a stick, that on one end of the stick is what is wanted, and on the other end of the stick is the absence of what is wanted. And so when you think about the success that you want, so you pick up this stick called success, depending upon what you've got going on vibrationally, you could activate one end of the stick or the other. You almost have to focus yourself. We started to say isolate yourself, but we don't like that word or even that image. Focus yourself so predominantly on the things that are working that they just crowd out any images of the things that aren't working, just for lack of airtime, because you are the broadcaster of your vibration. And if you're broadcasting about things that you appreciate, you cannot in that same moment be broadcasting about things that you're worried about. So it really is about you tipping the balance of the scale by being clear about what you want to think about. We've been introducing into this conversation of creation recently the subject of unconditional alignment. You all hear the phrase unconditional love, but hardly anybody even has a clue what it means. Unconditional alignment, or unconditional love, or unconditional clarity, means just resting in the vibration of source, because you're not poking around in conditions that hinder it. In other words, here you are, this little boy, learning it pretty early, on the airplane, living a very conditional love, because that airplane and its noise was a condition that when he focused upon it, he didn't feel safe. So it's something that you sort of naturally come to, but it's nice when you become aware of what's going on, because he wasn't unsafe. His perspective of it was just that he was unsafe. So what we're getting at here, you all have learned, starting at early ages, to be conditional in the way you feel. If the market is doing really well, you feel more secure. If things are unstable, you feel less secure. In other words, almost everyone offers the majority of their vibrational output. You have a sort of a handle on what we mean by that, what you're emitting because of what you're thinking. Almost everyone offers the vibrational output that they are offering based upon what they are observing. And the thing that is so crazy about that is that what you're observing doesn't mean diddly squat, because it's old news. What you're observing already manifested. And if you're a creator, don't you want to be focused upon what you're creating rather than, that'd be like having a big gallery of art. Oh, it's magnificent. You've been working on it for years, and it's in a gallery, and you've got your paint palette and your brush, and you're walking around just continuing to touch things up. You don't do that. In other words, get out a new canvas and paint something new. And so we want you to realize that what's going on is that you are observing, we love you very much, sloppily. You're whatever is observable, you're observing. But if you'll start with an intention when you go to bed tonight, when I sleep, all momentum is going to stop. And when I get up in the morning, the momentum that will be started naturally is that pure, positive momentum. The moment that you wake up, you're a perfect match to the source within you and everything that's in your vortex. You are. For that long. You're there. And then you begin to think and talk to others. But if when you awaken, you acknowledge that you're there, and you appreciate that you are there, and you feel the newness of this day, and you reach for soft, general, simple thoughts that don't challenge your alignment just long enough that momentum gets going, you can get into a role of appreciation pretty soon. And before long, we're talking about a few days or weeks, you will have changed the balance of your point of attraction so significantly that you will acknowledge how good you feel. We want you to walk around in this world knowing that all is well with you. Knowing that, think about it, friends. Did you look outside today? Or did you sleep in your chair here? You cannot deny the beauty of this planet. The spinning of it in its orbit. That's for you. That's for you. The water is tended to on this planet. That's for you. The life in the plants. No new trees are being trucked in from other planets. Your planet is being sustained by energy and focus. The well-being is enormous. So when you find those things to focus on, just acknowledge the well-being that, now that may not be the best subject because you've got so many people beating the drum of global this and global that. We'd like you to start thinking more universally. We'd like you to accept the perfection of this universe, the perfection of creation. I want you to focus on the source within you. We want you to acknowledge that you're here to conceive of improvement, and you do it all day, every day. So when billions of you watch television and find things to worry about, you put a request in the vortex that source is on right away. And when we say when you ask it is given, we're not making it up. It is. When you ask, it is given. But you're the ones that have to tend to the manifestation of it. You have to make what's been given a reality, which means you've got to find a way to perceive what has been given. And if you're just looking at what has already come to fruition, the good and the bad and the ugly, the wanted and the unwanted, then you've got a vibrational pattern going on within you that causes you sometimes to feel good and sometimes to feel bad, but you have no control because you're sloppy in your perspective. You got to care about the way you feel enough that you tune yourself to words and emotions, to feelings that feel good. So after having a few of these discussions about unconditional love, unconditional alignment, unconditional clarity, Esther is sitting on her porch in Texas looking out at beautiful things in a heightened state of appreciation. Hard to describe how it looked, how it seemed, what she was seeing. And then she said to us, Abraham, these statues are conditions that I'm appreciating, and this magnificent pool certainly is a condition that I'm appreciating. This perfect temperature of the air and that magnificent oak tree and the birds in it, these are conditions. Are not these conditions the reason that I feel like this? Feels like conditional love to me, Abraham, looking at good conditions and feeling love. And we said, Esther, you're feeling love first. And she knew that was right, because she'd been basking. She'd been writing in her journal. She'd written a whole page of the word fun and appreciation. In other words, she had deliberately, after a few weeks of waking up and wanting to find simple thoughts that felt good, she was really doing the work. She was feeling really good. And then the inspiration to go outside had come to her. She went outside, and then it exploded into a rapturous moment in time. We said, feel the difference between accomplishing vibrational alignment and then. So the appreciation was inspired. Now here's what we're saying to you. You're going to like this. It's new for you. And even if you're new to this, this is going to make perfect sense to you in the stream of what we've been talking about here. So picture this vortex that we're talking about, and just accept with us for a minute that everything that you want is in it, and that your inner being is too. That you have created a vibrational version of the expanded you, and everything you want, the money you want, the relationships you want, the interesting things to focus your life on that you want, enterprises, everything that you want, material objects, everything that you want, physical characteristics in yourself and others, everything that you want is in this vortex. So now you want to figure out how to allow what's in the vortex to flow into your experience. And what's in the vortex is vibrating at a very high, fast frequency, which means if you're not up to speed with it, you're not going to translate it. So these vibrations are going to turn to manifestations for you only when your frequency matches that. You get what we're talking about? So picture a cork floating on the surface of the water, and let's call that high pure vibration. Hold that cork under the water. That's a low negative vibration. That's what doubt and fear and all that stuff is. But when you focus away, when you stop focusing on whatever has got you feeling like that, your cork will bob right back to the surface. That's your natural state of being. That's why first thing in the morning you're more likely to be there. So all of these things that are in your vortex are making their way, usually without your cooperation, into your experience. They're coming to you through the path of least resistance. Can you hear that? Mm-hmm. The thoughts are turning to things through the path of least resistance. You're not helping all that much, because you keep saying, I have fear, I have doubt, I'm worried about this, I'm worried about that. So you keep conjuring more resistance. You don't mean to, but you keep doing it. But Source keeps offering to you through the path of least resistance. And that's why we say you allow yourself to eke out small, minuscule parts of what is available to you, because you're sloppy with your thinking. And the reason that you're sloppy with your thinking is because you don't care enough how you feel. And the reason you don't care enough how you feel is because others have convinced you it's not right for you to feel good all the time, you selfish person. You think the world just revolves around you, they say to you, and we say, yes, it does. Yes, it does. Yes, it does. It does. Take care of the way you feel. They'll say, don't you dare be selfish. And what they mean is, don't you be selfish. I'm the one being selfish, which means you got to do what I want you to do. And we want you to understand, you got to find some way of making your energy work for you. You've got to find some way of aligning yourself with you. You've got to find some way. And we've offered processes and processes and processes. All of them help a little bit.